I'm presently the president of the Central Kansas Community Foundation, and you are at the Kansas Health Institute and the Learning Center, and we are here for a day's worth of sex education. We're all here. We're going to learn how this all works. Not the right speech? No?
Wrong speech, Tip.
Is this the timeshare speech where we lock the doors? Lock the doors? Is this the wills and trust speech where we give you a free consultation? All right. No, it's great to have everybody here. This is the Central Kansas Community Foundation speech, which it's amazing that you're all here. This is good work. I know it's a sacrifice for everybody to give their time for something like this. But when you get past the 500-foot view of where you're at in life, and you go up to the 30,000-foot view of where we sometimes get to think, when life slows down just slow enough so that we can think about the broader, bigger picture about what we are doing here in Central Kansas for the good of the community. That's what you're doing right now. Take a breath, enjoy it, realize you're doing wonderful, miraculous, huge things for this community. And I just want you to just imagine this part of the world without quality daycares. Okay? Imagine this part of the world without scholarships for hard-working students. Imagine it without homeless shelters, without humane societies, or education, or college grants and scholarships. Imagine this area without health ministries. Imagine this world without dental health and hygiene. But in the 1880s, that was the leading cause of death, was dental problems. Okay, hopefully we've progressed enough. Hello, just join us. We've progressed enough, and I don't mean to say political progress, although I really want to get political. But we are using the word progress as in we are taking our world to a better place, and you guys are doing that, whether you like it or not. Saving the world does not pay. It's tough, but it needs to be done. So, despite these pressures of the times where we have the state cutting back on every agency, every aspect of education and healthcare and roads and basically jobs for us, the federal government soon may be following suit. There is not a better time than right now for groups like Central Kansas Community Foundation to start taking care of ourselves. That's a huge, huge thing that we're undertaking while our communities are being beset with government cutbacks. Remember, Kansas was basically designed by giving land away from the federal government for the railroads, by all kinds of help from federal and state government for these small towns, and those dollars are drying up. So we must do a good job of doing what we can to gather those resources up. The Central Kansas Community Foundation, people ask me, what does it do? What is it? Well, if you kind of think of it like the mutual fund of charities, and I'm sorry for those of you who have heard me say this before, but the mutual fund will pick many stocks and just bet on most of them. Most of them do well, ergo you do well in your investments. And they pick and choose which groups are good to invest in. Well, that's kind of what Central Kansas Community Foundation does, in that our group has to go through a rigorous process every year to be accredited. We have to make sure that all of our bylaws are intact, all of our board members are good people, relatively. I get a pass. And there's the minutes, all of the 501c3 paperwork has to be up to snuff. And all of the benefiting charities have to be up to snuff as well. There are no fly-by-nighters in our group of charities that we support. There are very few Johnny-come-latelys, no music men that are just here for the money and they get out. We keep a good record on the folks that get grants and money from us. And that's what we do. And that's a very, very important role. And it's a very good use of our donations. So when I have clients, I'm a lawyer by trade, and when I have clients that they come in, they're making their estate plans or doing something similar, making a gift, I don't hesitate a second to say, CKCF if you have a question on that. Because they want to make sure it goes somewhere. They want to make sure the dollars do what they want to do. And that's why this organization is so important. It really accomplishes the mission of charity. We support all kinds of different groups, and I think that is, and I just want to close with the fact that I don't think all of you know what a big benefit you're doing to the community by shepherding these dollars. This is the place for folks to put their money. And that's how I want to close with my remarks here is you can tell whoever's wants to make a donation, if you want your money to go somewhere safe and do good work, this is the place for it. It's the place to give. And I don't have any hesitation doing that. It's been a pleasure to be on this board and a pleasure to be the honor to be on in the president role this year. I want to thank all the board members that have helped out. I've been in Topeka for half the year because it took forever to get those things done. But we got through that. But like I said, with cuts coming from the federal, state side of things, it's more important than ever to get these things organized while that's happening, and then maybe we can reverse that. All right, Angie, this is our executive director, Angie Tatro. She does a fantastic job of keeping all the cats herded. We even evolve into well-trained cats. So, Angie Tatro.
Thank you. As Tim was mentioning, this is our annual affiliate summit where we bring our whole regional family together. So those of you that don't know all of our board members from CKCF, this is just a visual of them, but with all those on the CKCF board, please raise your hand so people can kind of identify who's on the board in the Newton office. So we've got a nice representation. Definitely that is the leadership that helps shepherd, as Bill was saying, all of us in the work that we do. And we're so delighted to have all of you here this morning as we have an opportunity to learn and network and exchange ideas and share. We have found that this has been a very successful event that we host once a year because we get kind of that mixture of networking and some educational components. This is kind of the visual of who our regional family is. We are now at 20 affiliate foundations under our umbrella. So we really are from, as we say sometimes, from Gossel, Kansas over to Fredonia in Wilson County. So a very big network of families, with 15 of those being community foundations and 5 being non-communities. We've got the representative from one of our library foundations here today and others that just have a different affiliate framework. But we're very excited about this regional impact, as Tim was saying, that with all of those, the impact that they're making on day-to-day lives in our region is incredible. Again, you all know me as the director of the foundation, but I want to call Betty Johnson up to join me. She is going to be helping us today as we go through kind of facilitating our time together. And Betty is very well known to us and knows us. She's done one-on-one facilitation for many of your local foundations, so you may recognize her from times. So we're delighted to have Betty with us, and she'll kind of keep us on time and on task. I'm sometimes
Heads up on that, guys. We'll get you out of here too.
I'm sometimes like Tim. I can keep going and going, so I need to be like Betty that will say, okay, kind of cut it. Let's move on. So she's going to help facilitate kind of getting to know who's in the room, and then we'll move on to some other elements of our program. So,
All right, thanks, Angie.
Take it
Appreciate
away.
it. So, guys, I too just want to say thank you for being here today. As Tim said, it is a big commitment as a volunteer, and I know you have families and businesses and other things and places you could be, and we appreciate you coming out today and learning and figuring out how to best help and grow your community foundation and your part of this overall organization. Do want you real quickly, if you haven't done it, just to mute your cell phones down so we don't have that kind of going on during the next few hours, if you don't mind. I'm sure everybody has one, so just go ahead and shut that one down a little bit for us. And also just want to say this opportunity here today is to learn from presentations that you'll be hearing and learning from today, but also to learn from each other. And that is equally as important as for you to network and learn with each other. So make sure when you go out to lunch, and I'll remind you that you don't sit by people from your own community foundation. I really want to push you and get out of your comfort zone and go sit with people you don't know and really expand out a little bit. And, you know, for board members to really separate, if you're here with a spouse or a family member, don't sit by them either. Let's go really out and get social today, okay? So that big thing is you hear ideas, thoughts, let's discuss and talk about them and really kind of grow. 'Cause the whole purpose of this is to help you kind of figure out how to make your community foundation stronger. So we're going to go through, first thing we want to do to really kick this off is that we're going to have everybody introduce yourselves. And what I want to hear from you is your name and which community foundation or why you're here today. And then I want one word that describes your community foundation or your community. Okay? One word. I don't want more than one word. Okay? First rule of the day, one word. Okay? So let's start. March, why don't we start up here and then we'll come down in front or later.
Do we need to stand
Yeah,
up?
you might. I think it's easier. Maybe. Maybe not.
I'm Marge Borden. I'm on the Board of Trustees, but I'm also very much connected with Trinity Heights Methodist Church, our Methodist Church, and we have done a lot with what we have.
Yeah, and one word to describe your
Passion.
passion. There we go. Myron?
I'm Myron Schmidt, and I'm from the Gossel Community Foundation. I'm the chair there. And one word, aggressive.
There we go.
Carol Dirksen, Gossel Foundation. My word would be growing.
Dwight Fleming, also from the Gossel Foundation. I'd say caring.
My name is Luke Bartok. This is my partner Robert Morris. We're with Greystone Consulting. We're the new investment consultants to Foundation. One word, service. Thank you.
And as Luke mentioned, I'm Robert Morris, also Greystone Consulting, offering up another word as well, philanthropy.
I'm Jim Gehring. I'm chair of the North Newton Community Foundation, and our word is networks.
I'm Dr. Colin Bailey. I'm on the Board of Trustees. My passion is the Learning Center for Health here in Austin.
Dr. Don Decker. I've been on the board of the Kansas Learning Center for Health for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Unique.
I'm Rod Cry with the CKCF, and for those that you that don't know me, you won't know I use this word, but Newton is peachy.
Says the Rotarian that sells peaches.
Oh, a little plug there. Are you still selling peaches?
No, they're out of peaches.
Oh, they're out of peaches. Okay, sorry. Got to schedule this better next year so we can get peaches.
I'm Darcy Shields. I'm with Greater Northwest Kansas Community Foundation, clear in the northwest corner, about 30 miles from Colorado and 30 miles from Nebraska. So I'm here from Betty and as well as from Angie. So, and my word would be growing. So.
Yeah, she's in a brand new position through the Dane G. Hansen Foundation. They are now going to start growing and hopefully grow community foundations in Northwest Kansas, and Darcy's the newly appointed person. So I told her this is the model that is one of the best in the state, and actually, in my mind, the best in the state, and that she should come down today and learn and grow and listen from you all to see how to grow her area. So thanks for coming down.
Jelena Carmichael, I'm with the Halstead Community Foundation, and my word for the community would be special.
John Chenoweth, I'm chair of the Fredonia Area Community Foundation. Young.
Yeah.
Not me.
I'm Tricia Weber. I'm with the Halstead Community Foundation, and I think my word would be energy.
I'm Mel Shadler, and I'm on the board of the CKCF in Newton there, and I'd say engaged.
I'm Carrie Herman. I am the vice chair for CKCF, and I'm going to say a word for Halstead, and that would be competitive.
Wow, you opened that up for Heston.
Yes, and there's a Heston here.
Yeah, that's the real H10, that's to me words. Susan Lamb, Heston Community Foundation, I'll use resilient.
Tom Alstrom with the Halstead Foundation, and I would say tradition.
Becky Nickel with Peabody's Foundation, I'm gonna say creative.
Marianne Eichelberger with Second Century Library Foundation for Newton Public Library, and I would say possibilities.
Cynthia Fleming, the Hillsborough Foundation, and I would say progressive.
Kathy Decker, and I'm with the Hillsborough Community Foundation, and I'm going to say activity.
Terry Pankratz with the Hillsborough Community Foundation, and I would say food because we have a farmer's market fundraiser tonight.
That's a little on your mind.
Ed Campbell with the Halstead Community Foundation, and I'd say community, my word.
Yeah.
Bill Charlson, Halstead Community Foundation, I would say learning.
I'm N.M. Patton with the Peabody Community Foundation. I'm also on the board of the Central Kansas Community Foundation, and I'd say active.
Joel Geddard on the board of the Central Kansas Community Foundation, and I'd say supportive.
Alan Roth from the Remington Community Foundation, and I'm going to use 3 syllables like some other people have done with one word. I'll say school support.
If you say it quick enough, it's like almost one word.
I'm Jennifer Votes. I'm the immediate past chair for CKCF, immediate past chair for Women's Community Foundation, and serve as grants committee chair for North Newton Community Foundation. My word is busy.
I'm Tim Hodge again, and I serve as the president for this year of the CKCF, and the word I have is efficient.
I'll pop back over here.
Okay.
One word, where you're from, who you are, and one word to describe your organization.
Okay, Tim Swigert, I'm from the Heston Community Foundation, and I would say busy also.
Busy, okay, great. Let's come down here on the front row. We know Angie, so Bill, we'll let you pop.
I'm Bill Hake, and I work for the foundation part-time, and play golf when Angie lets me. Helping.
I'm Brenda Suter, I work for the foundation, program officer overseeing the grants, and I would actually say compassionate because we give a lot of nice things out of a lot of good groups.
I'm Ashley Bridgman, and I work on a very limited part-time basis with Angie and CKCF staff, and I would say dynamic.
Christy Diller, I work with the scholarships, and I would say we give.
Brenda Eitzen, I again work in the office, and I would say dedicated.
Steve Cohen, Kansas Health Foundation, innovative.
And Christy Zukovich with the Kansas Health Foundation, and I would say home.
Great. Well, guys, thank you all. As you can tell, there's a lot going on, a lot of great things, and a lot to learn from today. So what we're going to do first here this morning is hear a little bit about some more of those good things going on, and I know a lot of you have got some data and some information to talk about and present too. So we'll start, and we'll let Angie come down and
get the next slide going.
Get the next slide going.
Technology.
There we go. I guess I could have popped that.
That's okay.
So Bill's going to come down, and we'll get Bill to kick off, and he still has to stick around though, even though his presentation's done. He cannot go off till after 2 o'clock today. You're not leaving early. Just because you're first, you're not leaving.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do this next year. Just no.
Too much. I gotta go.
It's too nice a day. Bill Hake. Some of you may have known me for a while, but I've been in Newton for 30-some years, worked for Dillon's, worked for a bank, failed at retirement twice, ended up working part-time here at the foundation, and this is fun. I get to meet some of the neatest people who care about their communities. Cool stuff. Anyhow, when I left the bank, I transitioned here, so I do this 15 or 20 hours a week. Good. Nuts and bolts that Angie told me to talk about. So. Confidentiality policies and conflict of interest policies that I do every year, and you just love to sign those forms every year. Hey, the good news is that Ashley, our whiz, is going to be doing those, so you can just do them electronically this year with electronic signature.
Yes.
And this is just kind of a heads up coming for the first of the year.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically
Anything
the
else
same
you want to say?
ingredients, no?
Okay. Each of you should be taking a look at your foundation website, and that's important for several reasons. One, because they get more and more popular. Two, we're looking at a new payment platform, online payment platform, so people should be going there to give. You want your information up to date, up to stuff, and looking good. Here's our
Yeah,
resources.
at the beginning of the year, when we asked you to do those, we sent several guidelines. So if you go to the page, the way it is now is the way we would like it to remain. We'd like it to be uncluttered, so that when your constituents visit that site, it's very straightforward. They can get the information that they need, the contact information, the donation, who's involved with the foundation, and maybe a little bit about your foundation are probably the most important things that you want to communicate with your donors and your constituents. So the way the page is now is the way we'd like to keep it. So just make sure that you keep that information current on your page on our site. So
Ashley can help.
yeah,
as needed.
certainly.
So, media releases. The plan is that someone in your group writes them, runs them by Angie before they go out. Social media, big topic lately. If you all haven't heard me talk about Facebook, I think I've talked to everybody and you're tired of hearing about it, but most folks are on Facebook nowadays, and it is a free way to reach out to people. Use it, get familiar with it. If you're interested in learning about Facebook, I'm working on a class through the Newton Public Library. Thank you, Marianne. And when I get enough names, then we'll get that thing rolling. So if you want to learn about how to use Facebook, we're trying to help out there. In addition to that, Ashley is going to start producing some things that will come out monthly. Is that right?
Yep, it'll be on a monthly basis.
Yeah. Some what I would call content. And just a heads up, when you Facebook is advertising. It's just like any other advertising and any other media. You need to use it. How do I say? What's the word? You need to use it consistently, and you need to make sure that there's good content when you do it. So it takes effort, but it really will pay off. People will notice. Brochures. If you haven't updated your brochure for your affiliate, I suggest that you should be looking at that. Make sure that all the information on there is up to date. Folks in Peabody did a bang-up job. Thank you, Becky, with a new brochure there that we've been showing around as kind of an example of what can happen. I'll be bringing those around more, but take a look at the brochure. If you're going to do invites, invitations, or other creations of stuff, Ashley can help some with that, but make sure you run those by Angie so that we have an approval on there.
I don't think I have anything to add. Billy, you covered all
At the
bases.
bottom it says what I do, what I should have said first. I'm the liaison. I'm the person who connects Central Kansas Community Foundation with our 20 affiliates.
Yeah, and
That's my
I.
job.
Not to interrupt.
Hush.
No, you're fine. And I'm Ashley Bridgman, and I am the Marketing Communications Associate with CKCF. A lot on the back end, a lot more. I will work with you primarily through Bill. So feel free to express your concerns to him, and he'll get those to me, or your wants or desires or needs. And then I guess if we begin a project, we can work together. And feel free to reach out to me as well. But Bill is the primary vehicle for your working with me. So it's nice to meet you all finally.
And
Yes, it is.
you have a
Yeah,
question?
can you work with, not necessarily us directly, but organizations that are in Peabody, that are in our towns that would you be able to do work for them?
Yeah, yes, I'm a contractor, so yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Just want to echo what they said. We know in the nonprofit sector that people that are looking for information and looking for ways to learn more about who you are, what you are, their main source of information, they're coming back to your webpage. So that webpage has got to be current and updated. If it's not something you or you've got somebody involved in your organization that's willing to do that, get some young person that's willing to take that on and handle it. They can do it quickly. But we know that webpage is an important resource. And we've got to keep it up. We know if people go onto your website and it's not current, you're going to lose them as a potential donor and a potential friend of your organization. So that's very key. And here again, they hit on Facebook, and it's very true. How many of you are on Facebook?
You mean right now?
Yeah. But if you look at the number in this room that's on Facebook, you understand the importance of having that Facebook presence and keeping it active and keeping vibrant out there. It's key to getting that cheap, free social media piece out there. So very important. Brenda, do you want to come up and talk a little bit about what's going on in the, both of you coming up or just one? Okay. That's right. First, Brenda.
Okay, so I'm Brenda Eitzen. I handle the accounting processes, which include deposits, payables, some of the grants, some of the scholarships, communicating with Bill, with affiliates when you're dealing with events or fundraisers, which we need to just communicate more and be open about that. I want to thank you all very much. You've been learning a lot about forms, processes, procedures, paperwork. I know it's not fun. It is something that is required from our accountants and it's required from our auditors. And because of that, we've had a good and clean opinion on our auditors, and I really want to thank you for that. So I know it's not fun, I know it's not easy, and I know there's a learning curve, but I do appreciate you guys' willingness to do that. One of the things that I was gonna highlight, which we talked about, was that we do have a copier in the office. You can use it. Typically, we won't be printing for you, but you can use it as an affiliate. There is a small charge. Just contact either Bill or I, and we can let you know more of that information. We'd be glad to help you with that. The other thing is that anything that comes in or out as far as payment for your funds, I do need to know which fund. So someone may send me a check from the affiliate, and I need to know which fund that goes into. So it's just like a bank account. Just make sure you get that information to me. Those are kind of just the highlights. There's a lot of other stuff that if you guys got questions, give me a call.
Okay. Christy, you want to come talk about scholarships? That's, you guys have all been, I'm sure, cutting with school starting here in the last week and at the major universities and starting locally. I'm sure there's a lot of activity going on here. A lot of money going a lot of places.
Well, I also want to thank you all for your help this past year with getting the scholarships going. We've had a lot of changes this prior year. With me coming on board, I started a year ago in May, and we onboarded almost all of our scholarships into our software program. And so that has been a big process, but I feel like the process went really smoothly. And for those of you that help with that whole process, I really appreciate all the help. And my goal is to work closely with the high school counselors as well as all of you folks. So if there's things that I can do to help that process go more smoothly, please let me know what I can do to help that happen and to communicate with you. As Betty mentioned, I'm in the process of finishing up this school year and looking forward to the upcoming school year. And just to kind of let you know what I've been spending some of my time doing this summer, I've written 5 new scholarships for this new upcoming school year. So we have around 72 scholarships that I'm managing. So that's keeping me really busy. But I'm excited about the new scholarships that I've written. And also been working with making some changes to the due diligence policy with the definition of family. And what family members may be eligible to apply for scholarships and who may or may not be able to apply. So the by the end of the year, this information will be circulated to all of you. And at this time, I'm going to, we're gonna look a little bit at the website, and so that for those of you that haven't looked at the scholarship page on the website, we can look through these things. That'd be fine, yeah. You just wanna click and then I can go through those things.
Christy and I are together on the same tab.
Yeah, there's a
She's
grants,
scholarship and I'm grant.
there's a grants tab and scholarships tab, so I'm gonna just, yeah. So, the first tab you'll see is scholarship verification, and for those students that have been applying, that have received scholarships, this is how they provide all of their scholarship verification, so that I have been able to gather all of the information to send out their scholarship check for the fall semester. They've had to provide their verification of enrollment, a thank you, a letter of thanks, a photograph, and just information so that I know where to send the scholarship check. So that's the first tab you'll see. And then there's also online application instructions. This would be for if they were applying for a scholarship, like this would have been still on for this past school year, just on how to apply for scholarships, just instructions. And then these are to apply for available scholarships. This is what you would see if you were looking for, if you were a high school senior and you were looking for an available scholarship. You
It's
would,
hard to see, isn't it?
a little bit.
Yeah, let's see if I can magnify it.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. That's for me. That's what I needed. Think, whoop. Oh well, that's a little too much, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe just a little bit.
It goes from 250 to 100,
Yeah.
so I guess, well,
So,
okay, let's
so
look at
just,
that.
yeah, if you
Okay, just kind of show what we do
yeah,
here.
so just click like.
Let's go Halstead.
Yeah, okay. So if you click, if you're a Halstead High School senior, and then you say, yes, I'm a graduating senior, and then you go,
Search eligibility.
then it would, unfortunately, there's nothing in there right now because none of them are active. But if you were, then underneath here where it says no records found, all of the all of the scholarships that are available to high school seniors would show up. Now, I also mentioned that we have a couple of scholarships that are for any that are regional scholarships. So those regional scholarships will also come up for any of those, any high school senior or any student that would be eligible.
And then, do we want to talk about because don't they have one that's not high school senior?
Yeah.
So there are some.
Then but nothing's gonna show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna show up.
So it's unfortunately it's a little hard because there's nothing out there right now. But like starting next February when the scholarships are open, if you go in, then you'll see what would come up. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea. And then we'll just go under the CKCF scholarship resources. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you, I still have my calendar out there from last year. Yeah. So that you can see what is available or what the cycles look like.
Dave Forrest.
So this, would say what qualifications are, what the scholarship cycle is, when it opens and when it closes, and then when the high school award ceremony is for that school. Just to kind of give you an idea.
Just a few scholarships there.
And there'll be more next year because we
Yeah.
have new scholarships, so. And then tips for successful scholarship application, and then application tutorial. So there's quite a bit, and then there's some other things, we won't go through all those things exactly, but just things out there that can be really helpful. For you to know, and also for, if you know of someone, it's like, oh, I think so-and-so might be interested in one of these scholarships. And just so you kind of know when the scholarship cycle might be, that type of thing. But they can find a lot out from their high school counselor as well, because I work with the counselors. Any questions that I can possibly answer? Thank you.
And for you that have kids in college, you know how important those scholarships are. So, and scholarships are a great way to get people involved in your community foundation and to help the youth of their community as well. So scholarships are great on both sides. They're win-wins. Brenda, do you want to talk about the rest of the grant program?
That'd be great. That's
what's
great.
going on?
Thank you. Thanks. Well, I'm Brenda Suter, and I actually am the program officer, and I oversee the grant cycles that we have at the foundation. And again, thank you for your patience this last year. I was new on board, so I've been through it a year now, and so that's kind of nice. some of the things that have changed since I've taken over, the things that I came in and thought I needed to change to make it maybe a little bit more smoother for the grant recipients and to get our name out there too. The grant cycle, and I just want to step over here and show you. If you ever have questions about when a grant is going to come up, we have that here also, and it's actually available grants. And this actually right now, Florence is up and going, and also Heston Community Foundation has a grant just for their school district. And so they actually, this is how they click on it. They can click on it and they can apply. This one actually is done. They're actually evaluating that grant right now. So I wouldn't be able to click on it and apply because it does have a due date on it. But this is how nonprofits would go on there. And you have to remember, when you write a grant, you do have to be a nonprofit. You know, a lot of foundations say, well, I've got a friend that needs help with their front porch and they need some help. You have a grant for them. Well, if they go through a nonprofit, maybe within the community, yes. But that they have to go through a nonprofit. They can't just apply for that grant. And I think a lot of the foundations, we hear that a lot with the affiliate foundations on their board, saying, hey, well, so-and-so needs help. Can we just write a grant for them? No. It has to be a nonprofit organization writing that grant for that individual. So that's just something that I hear a lot, so I wanted to address that a little bit. I also have a grants calendar, so it shows you, again, it's kind of hard to see, but you can click on it and download it. But it actually shows all the grant cycles that we're hosting, and we're getting toward the end of the year, so this will be updated. It's kind of nice to have the grants calendar so you know other affiliates that might be hosting, and maybe you have a nonprofit in your community that also works with that community. And they have the opportunity to apply. So for instance, I was just thinking of the Kansas Learning Center where we're at right here. They do an outreach program, and the Kansas Learning Center could apply to service Fredonia students because they are serving Fredonia students. So I think it's good that nonprofits know that just because they're in that community but they serve other individuals, they do have the opportunity to apply for that grant through that foundation because they're serving the people within that community. So that's another information that I thought you might need to know. Also, there's guidelines here for grant applications, so how you get online to apply. We try to put everything online so it's easy for you to tell your nonprofits in your community, hey, this is how you apply. Go to their website, it's under Apply Grants, and they have all the information there for you. We want to make it as easy as possible for them. So grant writing tips. Another thing that we require with our grant writing, when you receive a grant with our nonprofits, is a follow-up form. We want them to be very diligent of what they receive with their monies, make sure they spend it properly. And so we have an online form, and each foundation has their own follow-up form. This would be the 26 grants. I can go back here, let's go back and pull up the 2017, and every foundation has their own form. So let's just pick up Central Kansas, the Central Kansas Kids Fund that we just hosted. And actually the little kids corner over here the Learning Center got that, and it's really cute. But anyway, so they get on here and they do an online follow-up form, and then it's sent to me. We are requiring that we really want them to send pictures. We think that's so important. You know, everybody loves visuals, and we really are trying to support that. We know in some situations, for instance, CASA, people that work with children, court systems, you know, they're unable to do things like that. But if they are able to, we want them to send photos. One thing that I'm a big stickler on, and I heard on the radio the other day, is thank you letters are going out, but I'm an old timer, and I think thank you letters to the foundation who gave that money is extremely important. We still have some good nonprofits out there that are doing that, but we do have nonprofits that are not. Now we're requiring it on their follow-up form that they do send a thank you letter. I think it's very important that they say what they're doing with their, and just a thank you. I'm an oldie with thank you letters. Another thing that we have here is I am actually giving all the nonprofits a sample news release with the foundation's information. and I was doing some research the other day on some foundations and noticed that some of you need to update your brochures, because that's where I get your information from, and I know that was older information. Also, board members need to be updated on those brochures, so I take that information and put it in a sample news release. So make sure that affiliates, make sure you update that information. It's very important to do that, because I do use it myself. Also, they have to do signed, there's a lot to all these grants. If they have a photo, they have to do a photo release. That is also on the website. They can download that and submit that also. So those are some things there. I do want to mention a couple other things too. We did the one thing that we have provided that I want you affiliates to know is that we have provided a logo, your affiliate logo, and at the bottom it says grant recipient. And that is located on your affiliate page. So let me show you what I mean by that. And what I'm asking the grant recipients to do is to use that on their social media, okay? So if you go to an area community foundation, and let's go to Fredonia. I think, well, let's do Gospel. I know Gospel's there. I think Fredonia is on there. I think we just put it on there, didn't we, Ashley? Ashley's like, she's gonna.
Okay, and this is a good example of what your page looks like as well.
Yeah, so this would be Gospel's page.
And to update it, you would just provide me or Bill with your information, and we'll get it changed for you.
For instance, you have your golf tournament coming up. That would be great to put on there. Listen to me, like I almost know it all here, but that would be a nice place. There's donation to your fund. Here it is, Gospel's Community Foundation grant. So they get this logo, they can download off your homepage, and they can put it on their social media. So Kansas Learning Center, if they got a grant from Gospel, they can actually put Gospel's logo on their webpage and say we're a grant recipient. So we've also added that information. Again, getting our name out there is so important. And so that is on each of your affiliate pages if you do a grant cycle. Okay, so I encourage you to have that opportunity to download that. Okay, sorry, let me go back to my notes. Also with grant approvals, you need to remember that how the cycle works with grants is after the grants have all been submitted, then we have a grant review committee that is set up. They all have been approved by the board, CKCF board. They in turn score the applications online. It's all scored online with a rubric. I get those scores in. That in turn, I take those back to the affiliate foundation, and it's in a spreadsheet, and it's by the highest score. And then the affiliate foundation decides on how much they want to give from what fund, and all that information. Once that has been approved by the affiliate board, then it has to be approved by the CKCF board. But I also need from the affiliates, after that approval's been done, I need documentation that those grants have been approved, stating what foundation or what nonprofit you want to give to and how much you're giving to that. That all has to be approved. I have to have that for accounting reasons. I cannot submit your checks for your recipients until I have your minutes that have been approved. But then the CKCF board has final approval on all those grants. And then lastly, one thing that came up in our audit this year was we're having some difficulties with many of you being multitaskers and being involved in a lot on the committee. For instance, if you are, we cannot have you on a review committee if you are a part of a nonprofit board. So if, for instance, what we have done in the past is, what you need to remember, let's say that I sit on the board for the Learning Center, okay? In the Learning Center, I am on the Grants Review Committee, okay? That is, I cannot score that Kansas Learning Center application because I sit on the board. Plus, I might say, you know what? I don't like what the Kansas Learning Centers for doing, and I might give them a bad score even if I'm not on the board. I could give them a bad score because I don't like what they do. Okay, so we're having these are some things that we have to consider. So when your affiliates find, I think the best way to do grant scoring, to find your review committee, is find somebody outside the foundation, would probably be best too, or maybe have a couple board members on the grants review, but I think you need to be looking in your communities for people who would be willing to score those applications. So there's none of that going on, right, Angie? Okay. So that was one flag that came up with our audit, with our, that we'd like to get changed. And I know it's gonna take a while, but you might be thinking of individuals that would serve on your committees.
Another thing, if you do ask somebody from outside your board, you're also getting them involved with the community
Excellent.
foundation, which is, I've seen has helped.
Yes.
They
Get to know
understand
more
better
about
what's
it.
going on.
Any questions?
Thank you, Brenda. And then that's a real good point that Myron made. It's a great way for people to recognize the needs in the community and really how large, because I'm sure most of you are not funding all of the grant applications that you have. And a lot of times it's that way to get them involved and make them more aware. So it's a good education, cultivation process for people you want to get involved as a donor or a future board member. Angie, we'll let you take it away for a while.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Again, you know, we keep using Kansas Learning Center as an example, and we're here, so that's a wonderful thing. We really do try to get out and about into our community, so this is just one other example of that. So Carrie and her team, we want to extend a great thanks. We know when you're hosting, you do a little bit extra scrubbing and rubbing around the facility to get us here, and we appreciate you hosting us today in this lovely venue. And for Halstead Community Foundation, they hauled tables and chairs and all kinds of things. So we thank the Halstead Community Foundation for your support of today as well. So I appreciate all that extra labor. I always have the less than fun part because I'm going to kind of overview some of the do's and don'ts and expectations and those kind of things. But the good part is when I'm done in a few minutes here, then it's going to be my wonderful privilege to introduce Steve Cohen to do a presentation for us about Kansas Health Foundation and the Grow 2 project. So I'm going to go pretty rapidly so that we can continue to stay on our time boundary. But there are some things that I certainly do want to kind of reinforce because we always have transitioning board members. We basically have about 150 board members when we take all of our affiliate advisory boards and roll it up to our CKCF boards, and there's constantly that change. So a few key points that I just want to remind everybody of in regard to Central Kansas Community Foundation being in a host capacity, hosting and being the responsible legal entity for all of our affiliate foundations and all of the component funds, is that we are the 501c3 entity. So we are a tax exempt status with IRS. This does not mean that we are exempt from sales tax. Very important. If you have a caterer or have purchased something, we pay tax. We pay tax. We pay tax. Right, Tim?
Right. Again, right.
So just a reminder to that, and that's where Brenda Eitzen definitely helps in knowing that if we see an invoice come by and that's been waived, that we try to find those things and get it back to the invoicing so that we will pay that tax. As Tim mentioned too, we're very proud that we hold the national accreditation standards nationally. We are part of a very rigorous process every year now in getting approval with our policies and processes, and all of that rolls down to all of your work. That's where it can seem, as Brenda mentioned too, that sometimes we got rules and we got processes. We have to have that. We have grown to a $21 million organization with over 350 funds. That is a lot of management and a lot of details to keep, just to adhere to. So we have to be standardized and have to have some processes there. As you heard from the Central Kansas Community Foundation team, we are here to support you. A wonderful display of strengths and talents and abilities. We are here to serve not only the Newton community in which we were birthed, but also all of our affiliate foundations. So we are here to make sure that your needs are managed with the scholarships and the grant cycles, as Brenda and Christy shared. Accounting is probably one of the key components, just to making sure that our payables are payables and our grants are grants, and that all of those ducks are put into a row. We're also here for education, training, and just general guidance. We recognize that not every one of our affiliates has staffed, and your volunteer boards. We are here to be your support for training, for educating, for supporting your donor conversations and relationships. We do this day in and day out. Where you all see Bill on a more regular basis, I am out and about in your communities as well, having one-on-ones with donors, visiting about opportunities and needs, and that's what we want to do for you. We want to support you with those elements of developing the endowment for your community that continues to strengthen Kansas as a whole and your local community. With the donor cultivation kind of piece, just kind of a reminder, you know, you are the ones opening doors. You're the ones knowing when somebody might be interested in starting a scholarship or wants to establish a named family fund for their giving, a donor advised fund. Once you have those doors opened, you know, let Bill know. We come out and visit with them. Our office is the one that does the final legal document with that donor, the MOU or fund agreement, as you hear us talk about. So we get involved at that stage and that point and help make sure that everything gets put in place so that that fund is established in the right way. And another training, we can always go through all the different types of fund types there are, because there's a whole slew of ways that our donors can achieve their charitable interests and make things happen in the way that they wish to for their giving. And that's both in lifetime and once they've passed with estate planning. So we do that whole spectrum of providing service. We are also your legal backbone. We reach out to legal services for things that are going on in your communities, as well as with donor needs, with charitable remainder trusts and things like that, where we need a little bit more legal guidance on finishing those documents. Our office supports those relationships with working with the donor and their legal agent. We also seek out legal services when things arise, and this year a couple of examples. Crowdsourcing, crowd consent has been something we've been working toward with knowing we do award ceremonies, we have other ceremonies of celebration that we hold, and we've been hesitant or not been able to be in the moment with uploading a picture of a group activity because of wanting to get our releases signed. But we have learned through our legal services that if we announce that there's crowd consent and those kind of things, we can do group shots and presentation shots for that. So we've developed these posters. You're welcome to use them for your events. We're welcome to share the design file that Ashley helped us with to get printed in your local community so they're readily available to you. It does not completely do away with getting photo consents. There's other things we still need to get our photo consents for, but uploading a quick shot like today, maybe taking a picture of all you staring at me, that, you know, we can upload that and say, hey, we're having a training in Halstead and this is what we're doing, and know that you're consenting or to speak up to that. So that's a wonderful progress for us and being able to be more on the spot with social media, as we've been talking about. Another component is about the electronic signature. As Christy showed in her scholarships, that's what the students are now doing. Instead of having to do this all through paper and approval, they can now upload and do their photo consents and their details online. And we're transitioning for the new year for the confidentiality and conflict of interest forms, and then as well for review teams, we'll be moving in that direction as well to have a link for them to go to and sign off. We have not yet accomplished how we can have the same form just get updated, so they don't have to put the same information in year after years, because many of you ask for that. We understand it's cumbersome, but we appreciate you all doing it. It is our responsibility, and it helps us identify that potential perceived conflict for reviewers and things like that. So we can just say, this is probably a time where you just need to step out of being a reviewer, and we move forward in protecting ourselves and protecting that particular fund. We also are the legal entity that provides all the directors and officers insurance for all of you, as again, the officers and of the organization. So we maintain the liability insurance and coverage for your award ceremonies. When it does get outside of a normal function, a fundraiser, things like that. That is why we do have the fundraising forms that we request get turned back into our office so we can identify what activities you're doing and can know what you're up to and thinking about so that we can intervene if we need to explore alternative insurance needs. Like bounce houses are just an absolute no. You've seen the kids flying into space on the bounce houses. It is just an absolute no, we can't do it. So there are many exceptions to our resources. We had a wonderful affiliate that wanted to do some droid races, and we dug in, we researched with our insurance, looked at what could we do, how could we protect ourselves and protect the others, and we just could not get there to feel safe that we could ensure that type of an event and activity. While they were disappointed, they moved on to other ways that they could engage. Important to note, we're not about all of those activities. Friend makers are great, award ceremonies are great, but some of the fundraising, fun activities may be better suited for another organization to do, and that we support them maybe with funding versus being the ones in the organizing of those types of events because of the liability and risk issues that can be involved. But that's not to say we still may have a golf tournament, we may still have this, we just have to know what's going on, so we're behind you, supporting you, and making sure that things are covered and protected. As Brenda mentioned, our audit was clean and clear. That is because of all of you and all the good work of the office. We're very proud of that. As we grow, there's constantly new paperwork, constantly new requirements. Those types of things are just part of doing business these days, and nonprofits are no exception to that. But we appreciate all of your investment and work on doing that. Because of that kind of present update, I'll be getting our formal annual report documents together now that we got our audit approved for 2016, and that will get circulated primarily through Bill to all the affiliates, and then it'll be posted on our website as well. Another key thing that we did this year was transition from a kind of a multi-advisor model for our investments to a primary investment model. So as you heard during the announcements, Luke and Robert from Greystone Consulting shared that they are our new investment managers. They came on board with us in July, and I want to thank again publicly our finance committee for the diligent work that they did through the first part of this year in organizing a request for proposals process and RFP process, and really examining what was best for the foundation as we've grown to this kind of landmark over 20 million state. It was time for us to look at our investment model. So we're in the middle of that transaction. Good things are happening. The majority of the funds have transacted into Greystone. There's still some exceptions that can be handled with gifts over $200,000. Donors can maintain an independent advisor. So when we work with donors and advisors, we can work through that and decide what's best for them. But it's certainly best for us as a community foundation to commingle our funds, get the best benefit out of the investment pool, and work with a philosophy amongst our finance committee and board and our consultants to do the best for our funds. I'd love to say we're just having the most amazing returns and all this stuff is amazing. We still have to be very prudent about what we're doing with a 5% distribution. If we were still growing and not expending, even these last few years we would have been feeling pretty comfortable. But the fact that we still have a spending policy for up to 5% annually, it does concern us and makes us want to be watchful of how we're investing and organizing. So again, thank them for coming this morning. They're going to be dashing out here in a few minutes. But that's certainly a key part of our work. I know, I can see Betty trying to give me that. Get out of here, get out of here. I want to show real quickly 2 resources, and we can go into this more, and Bill can show these. A couple of things that we've done, again, for all of our behalf is move into a CREZ Legacy style, CKCF Legacy. This is part of your blue wills guides that were given to you today, talking about setting up your will, setting up a trust, how to prepare oneself for the future. This is good information, whether or not someone in our communities is going to make a charitable gift. It's our service and ability just to help educate. This is part of our education component. So this is online, you can dig in, look at it. If you're not on one of the newsletter lists, sign up for that so you get the newsletters. The articles are fairly brief and to the point and really do help with educating ourselves, but also being mindful of people we've talked to about ways that they've wanted to give and maybe weren't sure what's a solution, what's an opportunity. Because there's more ways to get to Z than just one route. And then the other is our new donor platform. Somebody mentioned earlier, this has also been a year-long campaign and process, but we've got the basic platform ready. We've been piloting with Hillsborough with their Give 360 campaign. A lot more went into figuring out how to set up a reoccurring gift process than we ever imagined. It all seemed so easy when we were going to do this new platform, and every step there's different applications, there's different products, there's different modules, but we've selected this WooCommerce platform and
there we go.
are testing. As long as you're not logged
Somebody
in,
give me your
can't
Visa
take
card.
throw anymore. I don't know that I can make that commitment with you. Because my credit card information is in there. I'm sorry. But we're excited about this. Bill, in his outreach to you, will be sharing more and more as we start building out. Ashley and I are designing a plan for how to roll this out. I don't want to give a date away, but as quickly as we can, so that we can better serve and make it more specific to the donor gift that they're wanting to contribute to the fund that they're wanting to give to. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming. But those are just a couple of things, too, that have been being worked on that this was a chance to get in front of a lot of you to share these things are coming. Okay.
Let you introduce Steve. Briefly.
Steve Cohen, come on up here. Steve Cohen is a great friend of Central Kansas Community Foundation and all of our affiliates. Steve is the CEO of the Kansas Health Foundation and has been just a wonderful partner, not only in our Grow 2 matching grant process, but in health in general to Kansans around the state. I don't want to give anything away, but through the birth of the cell of Wesley Hospital being divided out and their foundation being established back in 85, 86. That they have been a tremendous resource in Kansas for health-related resources and interests. So I want to let you take the stage and give us a great update, and then we're looking forward to sharing a little bit back with you about what we've done.
Okay, great. That'll be wonderful. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Well, good morning to all of you, and thank you for letting me come today and share a little bit about the foundation, our initiatives, and some of the future things that we're looking at here today. I really want to thank you for inviting me to come and celebrate the work of your great foundation. Really amazing what you've accomplished here. I also want to thank the Learning Center for hosting this event today, and also the Halstead Community Foundation. It's great to be able to be here and celebrate all that you're doing. This is quite an amazing facility. I was here as a child, I think soon after Velita must have come here, because if it was in 1965, I had to be one of the first kids to ever see Velita, because I was 12 years old in 1965, so I had to be one of the first kids to ever come here and see her. I remember being very amazed at that, seeing her in action when I came here as a child. So this place has changed a lot since those days, but it's great to be back. On behalf of the board and staff of the Kansas Health Foundation, we sincerely appreciate the passion for the work you do here at Central Kansas Community Foundation, and we want to thank all of you for all you do to make your communities stronger. You have been great partners to the Kansas Health Foundation through the year, and we look forward to continue to work with all of you to improve the health of our state. I thought I'd start today by just talking a little bit about the Kansas Health Foundation vision because it really is connected to the GROW initiative. Giving resources to our world is what that acronym stands for those of you who don't know what that all means. And at Kansas Health Foundation, we developed a new vision for our organization a few years ago. And the vision for the Kansas Health Foundation is we envision a culture in which every Kansan can make healthy choices where they live, work, and play. And I would say the key word in that vision is the word every, because we want every Kansan to be able to do that. And unfortunately, we know that not every Kansan has that choice to be healthy where they live, work, and play. There's some Kansans that just don't have that choice because of many factors. And so we're focusing more attention on those Kansans that don't have that choice to live that way in Kansas in the future. And your work is helping make that vision come alive. As all of you know too well, there are many needs across all the corners of our state. To maximize the impact with limited resources, the Kansas Health Foundation invests in ideas that make us have healthier people and also stronger communities, the communities in which you all are working across the state of Kansas. And to do that, we rely on data to identify the critical health needs in our state, and we, as I mentioned, are focusing more and more attention on the vulnerable populations in our state, reaching out to low-income people, racially diverse communities in both rural and urban communities in our state. As we invest in healthier people and stronger communities, we are focusing our work on the top health threats in our state, including things like reducing tobacco use, which is a leading cause of health and disability in our state, and actually in all states in the nation. We could really stop tobacco use. It would have a huge impact on the health of populations in our state. We're making sure that people have access to healthy foods that they can afford. We're trying to get people more active so that we can turn around the obesity crisis that we have in our state. Kansas is, we're the 7th or 8th most obese state in the nation right now, which is hard to believe. And it's epidemic proportions with our children, which is very sad. We're trying to find ways that people can get more affordable health care when they need it, and we're trying to promote strong, healthy communities across the state. Many of you I know have heard the quote before that the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit someday. And together I believe that all of us in this room and others are doing that by establishing and building strong community foundations in our state. By doing this together, I think we're being visionary about what will make our communities and states stronger in perpetuity. And thanks to you and other many generous Kansans, your communities will have a great deal of shade for many, many years to come, because you're truly planting a seed that will continue to allow a tree to grow larger and larger over time as more and more gifts are given to your community foundation over time, either through planned gifts or through donations. We have seen this play out all across the state of Kansas. Just by planting that seed, some big planned gift comes down in the future, and suddenly that community foundation grows and expands in some way that people had no idea would ever happen. Some little community foundation in places like Bird City, Kansas, can suddenly become so large that people are doing things that are remarkable in communities in Kansas that they never had any idea they would ever have the potential to do. When the Kansas Health Foundation's GROW initiative first began, our goal was to build and strengthen a dozen community foundations in Kansas by creating local philanthropic leadership and resources to improve the health in Kansans for many years to come. We work together through grants and matching dollars to increase philanthropy, improve the health of Kansas children, and develop a network of partners. Now this map that Christy's putting up here shows the community foundations that were covered through our first GROW Community Foundation initiative. And because of the wild success of that first initial GROW program that we started back in 1999, we expanded it through our GROW 2 initiative. And this map shows the areas of the states that have been impacted by both GROW 1 and 2 Community Foundations program, and how great it is to see your work spread across Kansas. Now, I want to spend just a few minutes talking about their growth journey and the resources that it has developed across the state of Kansas since it first began. Now, when I mentioned when the Grow One program first began in 1999, we started with 12 community foundations in Kansas. And those 12 community foundations had a total of about $19 million in resources when we began operating. Kansas Health Foundation and Grow One contributed nearly $30 million towards that initiative. This leveraged about another $28 million in additional giving across the state. Now, 10 years later, in 2009, these foundations had nearly $95 million in total assets. So that showed how that initial giving expanded $100 million nearly in giving in Kansas, just through that first initiative. Now, in Grow 2 in 2015, we were up to 39 foundations with a total of $575 million in community philanthropy in Kansas, a tremendous growth in assets. We hardly had a presence of community foundations in Kansas when we first started. And today, the Kansas Health Foundation has contributed nearly $20 million to the Grow 2 initiative. Now we have about another $2 million to go at the conclusion of that grant next year. So far, Grow 2 has leveraged over $42 million in additional giving in the communities participating in the program, and who knows where this is all going to end. With these 39 community foundations all across the state of Kansas, can we imagine what this is going to be someday across the state of Kansas, this network that we have established across the state? So where does Central Kansas Community Foundation fit into this journey? Well, I have to say, to the least, you have been a star participant in this program. You've done amazing work. It's really unbelievable. So far, you have raised more than $6 million through your foundation and affiliate foundations. Kansas Health Foundation has been pleased to match your efforts with $1.7 million. And we are so proud to be able to say that your combined assets are now, as Angie mentioned, $21 million in a very short period of time. Really amazing work. Quite an accomplishment when you started with what, 8.8 million or somewhere around that in assets? That's just an amazing story. And 20 affiliates? It's really quite remarkable work. And just to think, I mean, if you have this established here now and you get any big planned gifts, this will just expand remarkably, and I'm sure you will. It's just going to be a great, great resource for this part of the state. So what does this all mean for the health of Kansas? Obviously, you know, many of the funds you have established already affect health, and that's the reason we started this whole initiative originally. Many community foundations, a lot of their projects affect the health of the people that they live in their communities. And all these dollars translate to good work in communities no matter what they do across Kansas. This Grow program was specifically designed to help build the capacity of community foundations, and with your local ties, you are in a great position to help with the unique health needs of Kansas and all the communities you serve. And because of your work, you've also become an important infrastructure organization for our other health initiatives beyond the Grow initiative, and will continue to be in the future as we announce other health initiatives at the Kansas Health Foundation. We anticipate partnering with you on all kinds of health initiatives as we roll them out at the foundation. Also, in preparation for my speech today, we just took a look at some of the grants that the foundation has provided to organizations in the communities that you serve beyond the Grow program. And we discovered that since 2000, we have provided grants totaling over $1.7 million. But besides the $1.7 million in matching grants that we gave you through the Grow program, we have provided an additional $2.6 million in program grants to the area served by your foundation. And some of those grants, Kansas Health Foundation helped form a Butler County Community College Task Force that played an important role in helping that college become a tobacco-free higher education institution. We provided a Healthy Living grant to the Harvey County Health Department that was able to promote access to healthier food at sporting events. We just funded a 6-week summer day camp in Elk County that taught 1st through 6th graders about the importance of physical activity and good nutrition. Those are just a few examples, obviously, of the $2.6 million that we funded in the communities served by your community foundation. So what are some of the foundation's current initiatives? Some of these may sound familiar to you, some of them may not. We have a program right now where we've been trying to promote physical activity in schools. It's called Active Schools, Let's Move Kansas, where we funded more than $1.7 million, helping schools try to promote physical activity in the classroom. They're educating teachers how they can have physical activity breaks in the school classroom, because we know the schools have so much emphasis on teaching to the tests. You know, they're testing all the time now to see how they're progressing. So they're eliminating PE, they're eliminating recess time. So how can we get teachers just to take short breaks during the day and get kids up and active? And they found that by getting these kids active, the kids are doing better on their curriculum that they're teaching. So we've spent some resources doing that. And also aimed at the obesity crisis, because kids aren't as active as they used to be. We have a grant of $3.25 million that will help support 10 organizations in the state that focus on health equity issues in Kansas, trying to build the capacity of those organizations to do better work in the state. We just approved a new grant with our board called the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative. We know that more than 30% of Kansas counties are classified as food deserts in Kansas. We have a lot of grocery stores that are closing in rural areas, grocery stores closing in urban areas where there's high poverty and those kind of things. And so we're trying to help either stabilize those grocery stores in rural communities that are about ready to close, or else open new grocery stores in some of these rural areas that have closed. We know that low-income individuals and 51% of our Kansas counties don't have access to healthy food. So how do we address some of those kind of areas? By providing funding, matching grants that can open some of these stores. We have an exciting new initiative called the Integrated Voter Engagement Initiative that we're taking grant applications for right now. This initiative will fund up to 10 organizations to incorporate year-round nonpartisan voter engagement into their existing health equity work. The idea is to engage communities and individual and civic activities to promote health in these communities where we have vulnerable populations, get them engaged in the civic participation process, promoting healthy initiatives in their communities. And that, as I said, is open right now for applications. As I indicated earlier, with all our grants, we're asking partners now to focus more on vulnerable populations, because we know that health outcomes are definitely affected by race, income, educational level, and by geography. And I thought I would just share a few examples based on 2 of our impact areas so you can see how we're using data to focus on our grants and our work. The first example is an area important to us called access to care. We have been very supportive of the state trying to adopt Medicaid expansion. We put a lot of resources into an organization called the Alliance for a Healthy Kansas, which has been pushing this at the state level. We almost got it done in the last legislative session. We're just a few votes short, but fortunately, I think because a lot of the work that the Alliance did this last year, we definitely moved the issue lots further this year than it had happened the year before. So we're hoping that maybe this next year we might possibly be successful. So why are we doing this? We know that more than 15% of Kansans aged 18 to 64 now do not have access to health care. But when you break down the numbers, this is where it becomes more interesting. Among Caucasians or white non-Hispanics, the rate is somewhere around 11%. But when you look at the Hispanic population, more than 46% do not have access to health care. African Americans, around 20% do not have access to health care. But then when you break it down by income and education level, those with less than a high school diploma, more than 47% of those people do not have access to health care. And those making less than $15,000 a year, it's nearly 39% that do not have access to health care. So that's when the real disparities start showing up. Income, education, Hispanics, real differences. That's who do not have access to health care in the state of Kansas. So let's look at some other issues around data. Tobacco use. We know that statewide, the general population, tobacco use is about 17.7% in Kansas. which is pretty much the average across the nation, except in states like California, which is much less, but they've been working at this issue a long time. Some other states have put a lot more in tobacco control than Kansas has, and their rates are much lower. The states that have really taken the tobacco settlement dollars and really put it into addressing tobacco use have much lower rates than Kansas does. We spend, I think, what, $500,000, a measly sum out of our tobacco settlement dollars on tobacco use. But let's look at the different populations. That's when the data is much different. When you look at white non-Hispanics or Caucasians, the rate across the board is about 18.4%. Surprisingly, Hispanics smoke much less. They smoke only at 14.4%, less than the Caucasian population, which I think people find very surprising. African Americans smoke more. They smoke 25%. But if you go those with less than a high school diploma, the rates shoot up, 29%. And those making less than $15,000 a year, the rates really go up, 31%. So all this leads to the next area that the Kansas Health Foundation is looking at very closely. If we were going to do something to address the overall health of the population, what could we do? Everybody immediately jumps to healthcare, but really healthcare doesn't really have much to do with the health of our overall population. Probably one thing that might really address the health of the population is education. So we're taking a look at education, trying to figure out what could we do in the education arena. Because when you looked at all these other factors, it's income and education that really affects your health. We probably can't do much about income, but education has a real effect on income. So we're trying to decide what we might do with education. So that's something we're really taking a look at in the future. And Kansas with less than a high school education have really bad health outcomes. Those with a college education do much, much better. So is there anything that we can do to affect those rates? In 2016, our state average for high school graduation was 86%. And while that number might sound really good, think about the 14% of students who are left behind and consider their long-term economic and health outcomes. Looking closer at the data, for the 10 school districts with the lowest graduation rates, half are found in South Central Kansas communities. The counties. Those counties are Kiowa, Harvey, Marion, Sumner, and Sedgwick. But let's even consider other factors that affect school students, like income levels. Currently, about 50% of all Kansas students are eligible for free and reduced lunch, which has jumped up pretty dramatically. The 3 school districts with the highest percentage of students who receive free and reduced lunch include Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Liberal, Seward County, and Dodge City, Ford County. And as I recall, there's somewhere around 85% free and reduced lunch. That's jumped up huge in the last 10 to 15 years. And I know Sedgwick County, Wichita Public Schools, is setting right around 80%. So a big jump. So we're really looking at that. We're looking at things like, should we be looking at reading levels at 3rd grade? Because we know if you don't reach literacy levels at 3rd grade, your chance of ever being able to read go way down. We're looking at early childhood education issues because we know early childhood could have a big impact on your future ability to graduate from high school. We're just kind of looking at the whole gamut to see if there's anything that we could do to affect education. And we're trying to be very deliberate in thinking about how we engage with all the people in that arena with the goal of helping students succeed for a stronger workforce for the future and for healthier Kansas. It is clear as you look at the data that vulnerable populations are at a greater risk, and therefore we're asking our grantees to focus also on serving those vulnerable populations to achieve health. I want to end today with a quote that I think describes how most of us still think in Kansas. We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say, it's not my child, it's not my community, it's not my world, it's not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. I consider all of you my heroes, and the people who have been generous with their gifts for future generations through your community foundations. I congratulate you, Angie, your boards, your staff, and each and every one of you for the outstanding work you have done for Kansans today and tomorrow. We are proud to be your partner in planting the seeds for the shade trees of tomorrow. Thank you. Sure.
How's Jeff Usher doing?
He's doing good.
Didn't he
He's
have
gonna
an
have
accident or
surgery,
something?
September 1st. So we're all praying for him to
That's
come
right.
through that well. But he's doing good right now.
Well, thank you, Steve, for kind of sharing that historic part and seeing the historic numbers of impact and the growth, I think, is so astounding from row one coverage to today, just from the granting process and building endowment so we can help try to impact some of these social health issues. But certainly hearing some of the statistics really, again, makes you step back to say, this is why our work is so important. This is why we're here. This is why there's been an investment from the Kansas Health Foundation in the work that we do, and donors that make that connection, that are really making that connection, that to be a thriving, healthy state, we really have to invest in it and invest in our kiddos. So really appreciate that message. We want to share a little bit from our Grow 2 experience. We have one remaining community that still has through December 31st to work on their match. And I would like to have Jelena come down. For the interest of time, I might ask all of you that are going to talk to come down, and I think we'll just kind of really highlight our story that you're sharing about the impact that was made with one grant. Again, it's just one isolated example. We have many, many to tell. I know I met with Jeff Usher and a couple of my board members last summer, and I think we took him about an 8-page list of all the grants that had been made through all of our Grow 2s, from very small impact grants to larger ones, and making a difference on a whole broad definition of health and healthcare related issues. So this is just a little snapshot. I might just preface so everybody kind of knows that we just kind of put when each of these participating communities got set up, what year, the amount that was awarded with the match, and then just kind of the impact, how many funds were in place at the time they got it, where they are today, for just kind of a snapshot. We'll just let you kind of read that on each slide for time issues, and then each of you just kind of share your story that you'll be telling. So Jelena, you want to come up and share a little bit about Halstead?
Thank you very much. We are still working. We're hopefully going to get a little bit closer. And we were able to help Health Ministries here in town. We had a health clinic here, and Health Ministries purchased them, and they needed help updating and getting up and running. And so we were able to grant money to Health Ministries in order to get the new medical building here up for them. And we just consider ourselves extremely lucky to have a hometown healthcare center where people can go to get easy healthcare when they need it.
So a great resource for local people to not have to go to Newton or Wichita or anywhere else. So a huge resource as we look at our poverty levels and look at access to care. It's a huge boom. So thank you, Jelena, for sharing that. Miss Susan Lamb, representing Heston Community Foundation.
I'll give you a little bit of time to look.
That's the teacher in her.
I will
Angie, I've got a
resist
quick question
the
about
temptation to open this curtain and talk to you about Velveeta because I So I have.
Susan, excuse me 1 second. Somebody was.
Well, the question was, did I hear you right in saying Halstead has not met their match?
They have their time frame is through the end of this year, December 31st. So as much.
So how much do they have to go to meet the goal?
Jelena?
120. I think it said on the slide, right?
I don't know if it,
Okay.
no, it said 120,000?
It was around there, yeah.
Something in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Of the match, which means at least double that, and sometimes 4 times that amount because of the formula of Kansas Health Foundation. But we can do it, right, Halsted?
That fourth bullet item, explain that. It was on the other slide and it began with 1 fund and currently 20.
At the time that they were awarded the grant from Kansas Health, they had one fund for the Halsted Community Foundation, and they've since now, in those 6 years, because they're in their 7th year, have grown to 20 funds with an asset base of almost $1 million.
Okay.
So that growth piece is what we're looking at, how that has impacted the growth. Thanks, Carol. Okay, Susan.
Okay.
Now we'll jump to you.
So I have what is probably a very personal story. In 2012, the first year that Hesston Community Foundation did grant making, Chief Doug Schrader asked for $250 to create critical incident response bags. And in those were additional tourniquets, flare sticks, keys to all of our school district buildings and to the major employer buildings in our community. I was not working for the foundation at that time. I believe I was in between serving on the board, and then I became the director in 2013. I remember thinking, are you kidding? You have to have keys to get in a school building because of lockdown? What has it come to? On February 25th of 2016, that bag went into Excel Industries, and the tourniquet that was in that bag was used and saved 1 life for certain. The flare sticks went down and helped identify areas that had already been cleared out so that they could respond more efficiently. And I think that investment of $250 to save a life is amazing. And that's what the work of the Kansas Health Foundation has meant to many, many communities, and we thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, and they've grown from $100,000 to over $1 million in that time frame as well, which, you guys, these are rural communities. This is rural Kansas. This is everyday Kansas folk. This is not the big city. This is amazing work, and then to have those kind of experiences is great. Oh, is this me? Central Kansas, Butler County. Yes, Carolyn and Jenny could not be here this morning. They funded, which I thought was really this progressive part. I think earlier we heard some words like progressive and ingenuity and all of that. This telemedicine technology was awarded to Flint Hills Services in El Dorado so that they can connect and have access to their patients at remote times to be connected. So really cool, progressive, updated stuff. So dollars going to really unique work in Butler County and specifically to the El Dorado area for Flint Hills Services in that example. And again, Butler County had a unique experience with being just kind of the main Butler County group when we started Grow 2, but we have since recognized with the uniqueness in the large geographic area of Butler County that setting up more localized town affiliates has been a better model. So this just kind of broke out how Butler County as a whole got broke down to these individual communities, and we allocated out to those communities the same matching award, just from the large bundle down to the local. So just kind of some neat stuff to see that progression and growth. Hillsborough. It's my turn. All right, Cynthia Fleming.
Yeah, we really want to thank the Kansas Health Foundation. Without their help, we wouldn't be where we're at today as a foundation. We found out that often, as was mentioned by Steve, that the children just do not get enough exercise. Our playground at the elementary school was in very poor condition. They went out and played on it, but it was somewhat dangerous because we didn't have the proper equipment. So through that,
You getcha.
we were able to help the school get started. It was actually a group of parents that went together to start this initiative, and they came to the foundation to ask for funding. And we were willing to help them with a grant that was partially out of the Health Foundation funds and it really got that project off the ground. Had we not had the ability to use those funds, that project may not have ever totally got funded. But because we said we're gonna step up, we're gonna give a big gift, it grew, and we were able to help them through this parent-led organization to put in the new ground cover that was necessary, the rubber coating, to help buy the equipment, and to really get the project off the ground. We were also able to help Trinity Church. They have a Food for Kids program every summer where they provide school children food. We've helped them a couple of times just with the food itself, you know, giving donations so they can buy the food. But this particular time we helped them also to be able to purchase playground equipment so that they would be able to have a nice playground so when those children came to eat, they also could play and get some good exercise with that. So again, we really want to thank the foundation, the Health Foundation, for giving us the funds that makes us have the ability to grant, to give back to the community and help our children.
And I want to announce this, I think it's just an amazing landmark time. Hillsboro's over $2 million in assets under management. So amazing achievement that they've made in their community. So great job.
Thank you to our community.
Yes, that's right. First Central Kansas Community Foundation, so kind of the Newton base here. We were awarded, we kind of had a split there with Peabody, so Becky's going to come up after me, but we kind of did a share of the $600,000 initial award. And one of the unique grants that we gave from the Newton office was Kansas Cast for Kids event. This was a group of folks that really love fishing and being out on boats and wanted to give kids that maybe never had the opportunity due to their family circumstances or situations to have that kind of experience. So we hear about this in different ways, you know, and with our BIGS programs and other things, but this was kind of unique in bringing kids that were identified to have this kind of recreational experience to be with these, a lot of them law enforcement guys that happen to be involved in this, so kind of a win-win on all sides with kind of getting to know that, hey, our leaders in our communities and our public safety officers are really good people and are safe, not to be running from them, let's be friends with them, but also the experience of fishing and having that recreational opportunity. So it's kind of a neat project too that was awarded. And I'll let Becky share about Peabody.
Are you ready? You want me to? No. Just to share, highlight that we began with 10 funds at the time of the match and currently have 19 and started with 187, 486,000 and currently have 839, 815. So I'd like to share about a grant made earlier this year to the Peabody Senior Citizen Center. And I just want to highlight that that institution is misnamed. We have a youth center that people call the Hub. It's the hub of our community is the senior center. Whenever I go in there, it's just wonderful. So I walked in last May when they had just installed an automatic door, and I walked in and happened to be able to speak with Sally, who had said initially, we need an automatic door on this place. So I thought I'd bring you Sally.
My name is Sally Watts, and I'm the one that suggested that we get an automatic door.
And Sally walks in and out of that door every day the center's open.
You want me to play it again?
I've seen it like 18 times and I can't get enough of her. She's adorable.
My name is Sally Watts, and I'm the one that suggested that we get an automatic door.
But an amazing example too of just sometimes these little solutions are really impactful and really important to the day-to-day function of our community. This is just kind of an overall slide. Again, back in like 2010, we started with 8.8 million in assets overall, and now and this is just with the 6 participating GROW communities. and now those communities are at the 18.9%, and then of course we've grown greater than that with the 21 million in assets. But annually, the impact so far in 2017 is 144,000. We still have some of our health grants that have not been given for 2017, so that number will even be higher. And just to realize that's an annual. This is about building endowment, the permanency that will be here year after year for our generation and for the next generation. And that's the real important message of realizing the constraints that were given with the grant are an important process to saying we could have quickly expended all these funds to take care of a need, but being able to do it in a timely manner and know it's here forever is a really powerful message, and it will just continue to grow and grow. So again, we thank you for your investment.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to hear stories, I was telling Christy too, we're happy to share our stories. I know any of them would love to have you come out and meet any of their programs and services. So I appreciate you both being here and participating and letting us indulge to share back a little bit about our experiences.
Okay. Well, hey, we're back on schedule. Like it. That means lunch is going to be on time, which is even more important than anything else, right? Because it's looking really good. I know Bill's in charge, so we know we'll have a good meal. I think we owe Steve a big hand of congratulations. His leadership at Kansas Health Foundation has definitely had a major impact and has changed the lives of all of our communities and many of our friends and families and neighbors. And Steve, I hope you're not retiring soon, because we need to keep that going and keep going what you're doing. I love to watch and see all the activity going on out of you guys. And give yourselves a big hand of congratulations too, because Steve's given you guys the motivation and the inspiration and the reason to go out and do, but it's you guys that are making it happen. And I think you need to acknowledge and recognize that, you know, we understand why you're tired and why you're multitasking and why you're doing all the things and why you're so busy, because it's you guys going out and really doing the boots on the ground and making things happen. And you can see the impact. I know you all have lots of stories to tell about the good things going on. And I know there's a lot more potential and opportunity out there, and I know you guys will keep going and working with us. We do want to now, what we're going to do now is break for lunch. The Learning Center here has agreed to give some short tours, so if you want to see a little bit more and hear just a little bit more about it, if you're really hungry and you want to go right to the lunch line, you can go right to the lunch line. That's okay too. We're going to have a little bit of networking at lunch, so you can sit, as I mentioned earlier, I do not want you to sit by anybody you know. I want you to sit by people you don't know or people you want to learn more about what's going on in their community foundation. I want that social interaction going. Then after lunch, we're going to stay in the other room. We're going to do a little bit of table talk, some idea exchange, some brainstorming, some question answering and asking, and get some ideas generated and going. And then we'll come back into this room, okay? So enjoy for lunch, and we'll group you back up again in just a little bit. I do have one request though. If Steve and Angie and a representative from each of the GROW 2 grants would come down here real quickly. We want to get a great picture because we're going to push you out on social media today. So, and Tim is fortunate. So just a quick photo. So smile pretty for us if you would. You guys want to? Yeah.